Hello there, everyone. Welcome to episode number 624 of this here electronic engineering podcast called Amelia's Weekly Fish Fry, brought to you by eejournal.com and written, produced, and hosted by me, Amelia Dalton. IoT Security is the name of the game this week, my friends. My guest is Sharon Hagi, Chief Security Officer of Silicon Labs. Sharon and I are chatting all about the new cybersecurity labeling program called Cyber Trust Mark, the details of this program, and the motivation behind its development. We also discuss the Connectivity Standards Alliance's Product Security Working Group and how it eases the challenges of complying with global product security requirements. Finally, we also explore the benefits of silicon-rooted trust models and secure manufacturing in this arena, and the initiatives that Silicon Labs is involved in to further security in IoT devices. So without further ado, please welcome Sharon to Fish Fry. Hi, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Okay, so the U.S. government announced the launch of its highly anticipated cybersecurity labeling program called Cyber Trust Mark. So first, for my audience who may not know, what is this program all about and why was it created?
Well, as you know, consumers are increasingly embracing the utility and convenience of all the wireless connected devices, smart devices, and products that are commonly known as the Internet of Things devices. Those are the things that consumers buy to control home lighting systems, home security systems, appliances that are increasingly incorporating connected functionality to enable consumers to monitor them, cameras, voice assistants, and so on and so forth. I mean, these devices offer really unparalleled convenience for consumers who can basically control devices, get measurements of things like temperatures and so on and so forth on their mobile phones and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of convenience, but as we've also learned, these things are, software driven applications that connect to the internet. And there's obviously a lot of security risks with that. There's also privacy concerns. What do these devices do with all the data that they're collecting and sending to the various applications and sharing and so on and so forth? We know that IoT products, as a result of them being, engineered products, software, hardware based, they could be vulnerable to cyber threats. And it's becoming more and more imperative to understand how those devices were designed and engineered and assembled and what security standards they incorporate in order to help consumers understand how their devices are protected and how they're protecting their data and their personal information. Now, to address these challenges, you started to see a lot of global efforts to start regulating the industry, to start introducing, first of all, standards to guide manufacturers and companies that are building these products and applications in terms of what the minimum expectations are for establishing security for the IoT. It really started in the US, I think around 2021, with the Biden administration issuing an executive order. It was aimed at improving the nation's cybersecurity, and it was recognized that connected devices, wireless connected devices in particular, were a challenge to critical infrastructure in other areas. And that executive order tasked the FCC and the National Institute for Standards and Technology to kind of address some of the core baseline requirements for these consumer IoT products from a security requirements perspective. And again, the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, as a follow-on to that, introduced the idea of the voluntary cybersecurity labeling program for connected wireless consumer IoT products. That's really the initiative that we know now as the US Cyber Trust Mark. And it's an initiative that basically brought together public and private sector entities that collaborated together to define the program vision, the requirements, how it's all going to work. And really, the intent of the program is to provide consumers with access to information to make more informed purchasing decisions about the products that they buy that kind of make their daily lives more convenient, right? Kind of like, food labels, right? When you go to the supermarket and you want to know what ingredients a food item has before you buy it, what its nutritional profile is, you have these food labels and you can analyze them and decide whether you want to purchase the product, whether it's good for you or not, whether it has ingredients that you like or don't like. The idea behind US Cyber Trust Mark is very similar. It provides you with a label on the product that you can scan. It's a QR code that you'll be able to scan with your phone and open a website. And there'll be information on the website that'll tell you, what's in the device from quote unquote a security ingredient perspective, what features the device supports, what components it has, what certifications these features have gone through. So it gives you a lot of insight. Again, very similar to Energy Star is another analogous program that really kind of revolutionized the energy efficiency awareness for consumers. We believe that Cyber Trust Mark aims to basically do the same for IoT security.
Okay, so tell me a bit about the development of this program as well.
The foundations for this program were laid back in 2021 with Executive Order 14028, issued by the Biden administration with the goal of strengthening the nation's cybersecurity posture. And of course, connected devices were one of the key ingredients of that executive order. NIST started working on the core profile for the baseline for security requirements for consumer products. The standard was called NIST IR 8425. It was published around 2022. And those were kind of like the key building blocks that then the FCC used to then lead the implementation of the Cyber Trust program, which was announced, by the way, in 2023. Everything around this program is fairly recent. Its development is still ongoing. And again, the goal was to provide a recognizable label and an information accessible to consumers that they can use to determine the alignment of the device, the components that were used to build the device, the supply chain that was involved in assembling and securing the device, and what standards and to what extent those have been certified.
So, Silicon Labs has been a leader of the Connectivity Standards Alliance Product Security Working Group. So, tell me more about this group and how it works to ease the challenges of complying with global product security requirements.
Yeah, so we've definitely been involved with the Connectivity Standards Alliance, the Product Security Working Group. That group essentially works on certifying the security of consumer IoT devices in the smart home. And this is sort of like their current focus. I think over time that scope will expand and it'll include other elements of the IoT ecosystems in other sectors. Think commercial, industrial, critical infrastructure. I would say their scope is a lot more international, whereas US Cyber Trust Mark is again, a US based program. You can think of the CSA as more of an international effort. It's essentially driving a lot of alignment along the same lines as what NIST and the FCC and the entities participating in the Cyber Trust Mark program. The product security group is essentially trying to establish a unified baseline for certifying IoT products, as I said, reducing the fragmentation, kind of trying to establish a common baseline, ensuring compliance, doing so with more of an international scope, developing a framework that companies can use to basically develop products and ecosystems and work with stakeholders across different geographies to kind of bring those products together and delivering basically what is a clear consumer-friendly certification. And there's a lot of synergy between what the CSA is doing, the product security group is doing, with the efforts by the FCC. They're both working along the lines of making this a voluntary program. There is reliance on national standards like those defined by NIST, the 8425, for example, definitions. There is the ideas that you will have administrators, the stakeholders that will manage the program, as well as the need for independent accredited laboratories that actually test products and check for alignment with the required standards. There's a labeling, requirement, third-party administration, and so on. So there's a lot of synergies between what the CSA is working on and what the FCC is working on.
That makes sense. Now, talk to me about the benefits of integrating silicon rooted trust models and secure manufacturing operations. How do these endeavors help with these overall issues?
Yeah, so when you're building security for any connected product, you have to anchor your security and trust on something extremely robust. And silicon-based root of trust essentially offer the highest levels of authenticity, integrity, and security assurance for IoT connected devices. You can have software-based security measures, but those really tend to be vulnerable to attacks, and this has been shown in many cases. Anchoring the device identity and security feature in hardware significantly raises the cost and complexity of attacking a system for any potential threat actor. So embedding security in silicon gives manufacturers the ability to enhance not just the trust that you have in the security implementation, but you can also benefit from hardware-based acceleration. So cryptography, for example, the crypto operations that are needed to encrypt data, for example, on the device or on the network, they greatly benefit from being accelerated by hardware-specific circuitry. And again, those also tend to be a lot harder and more challenging for threat actors to compromise, a lot costlier. Silicon-based security solutions are also more efficient. You can develop devices that have advanced security in them that are also more energy and compute efficient than devices that rely on software-only implementations. You can also incorporate greater cost effectiveness by making sure that you're integrating security from the start, that it's not bolted on, it's part of the solution, and it minimizes the cost and expenses for any post-production, fixes. The other thing that, hardware-rooted trust models provide is critical isolation. They confine critical security functionality to secure cores or enclaves, or we call them secure elements, where the security functionality is completely decoupled from the application level execution or the compute execution of the code. And so it means that it can be easily tampered with by a malicious application or an external agent of some kind. So there's a lot of benefits for building connected device security solutions with silicon rooted, basically, functionality, including trust.
Okay, so what is Silicon Labs doing to further security in IoT devices?
Silicon Labs has been for many years at the forefront of IoT security innovations. We've introduced products starting with Series 2 that have hardware rooted security and security subsystems. We call them the Secure Vault. We've even been one of the first semiconductor companies to have certified our security solutions to the highest levels of specifications, the RMPSA level 3 as an example. We are continuing this tradition and innovation with our newest product line, our Series 3 platform, that's designed to really continue and tackle the evolving security challenges in the connected IoT landscape. We're focusing more on connectivity, compute capabilities, and of course, incorporating security. There's security that is designed to protect machine learning and so on. So, Series 3 is going to support really a broad spectrum of wireless protocols. It's going to offer customers unparalleled flexibility in terms of building connected applications with a lot more features. We're talking about introducing multi-core architectures that have ARM Cortex-M processors, specialized co-processors for security, and machine learning tasks and acceleration. Again, bringing forward the fact that, by relying on hardware features, you can make those things a lot more efficient from an energy perspective, from a compute perspective, from an isolation perspective. Again, Secure Vault High, ensures that you bring that advanced protection, including the ability to protect code as it's being executed in place and in the future address challenges like post-quantum cryptography.
All right. That was super cool. But before I let you go, how about an off the cuff? So, Sharon, if you could have one meal right now, it doesn't matter if it's on the other side of the world, you need a passport to get there, what would you have?
Oh, I love sushi.
Nice. Any particular kind?
Well, any kind that you can get in Tsukiji Market in Tokyo, I'm game for it.
I love it. Well, Sharon, that is all I have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Amelia.
If you'd like more information about this topic, I've included a couple links below the player on this week's Fish Fryin' page on eejournal.com and in the description for this week's YouTube episode as well. Hey, have you checked out EE Journal on social media yet? Well, you should. You can find us at facebook.com/eejournal. If LinkedIn is more your thing, you can follow us or me on LinkedIn, and we are also on Blue Sky Social and Mastodon too. And we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/eejournal. Folks, it is chock full of all kinds of techie videos, including our very popular Chalk Talk webcast series, hosted by me, and our new animated series called Libby's Lab. And of course, you can subscribe to our EE Journal YouTube channel as well. Also, make sure that you subscribe to this here podcast on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or just about any other podcasting platform to listen to some exciting upcoming episodes. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you know of any cool new technology or heck you just want to chat, shoot me a line at Amelia, that's Amelia, at eejournal.com, or post a comment on our forums on EE Journal. For the week of March 21st, 2025, I'm Amelia Dalton, and you've been fried.